Hey y'all, it is a lazy Wednesday overcast evening up here, and I keep getting this message to come on here and share with you about my recent experiences with fasting and what I have learned and what I wasn't shared, um, what I didn't know, and what I've had to kind of suss out for myself as I've gone through this journey of um, of cleansing my body, not just physically but spiritually too. And so my experience, has been initially I started getting just pings to start to do some fasting, and I kind of went in head first. I had in past years um, been intermittent fasting and, really just not eating until noon, or eating and then stopping at maybe 3 o'clock and not eating until the next day. Um, and that kind of has been a little preparatory for what I, in more recent times, have experienced, impulse wise, or not impulse, but just intuitive wise. That has led me into like longer term fasting. And so my experience with longer term fasting kind of was like a little more intense, in the beginning. It was dry fasting, and it was just for like a 24-hour period. Um, and I was doing some other like self work with that. But what I have experienced and working with another practitioner, what they have recently advised me to do, I ended up starting to do water fasts, and I completed my first 5-day water fast, and I had a pretty incredible, like, it was really tough. I hadn't gone for food like that without food for 5 days ever. And my body purged a lot, not just like physically, but like energetically too. A lot shifted for me. Um, my connection with my intuition, spirit, um, my body was like releasing a lot of stuff. I was having a lot of physical symptoms, heat, rash, sleep was just wonky as hell, and I was having just very interesting bouts of I would just be up and then I would just crash. But ultimately, it was a very positive experience. It was very interesting. And more recently, I did another 5-day fast, and it was very simple. My body just really just was like, let's do this. It's time. Like, it just felt supernatural, literally and figuratively. But what no one ever told me, and what has really struck me as a very important, lesson for me, has been the process and the honoring of that process, the building into it, the growing into it, the going into it, preparing your body for it. So easing into it, not just going cold turkey and cutting off your food. um Slowly like wind down how much you're eating over like a day or two, with intermittent fasting, and then slide into it, and making sure that you kind of, have a, okay, now I'm not going to do it at all, and then watching yourself, monitoring your liquid intake, monitoring how you're feeling, making sure you're like hydrated, making sure, you're like, you're resting, you're taking care of your body, movement, doing what your body is kind of asking you to. There were periods where I was like, okay, resting this last time. And there were periods where it's just like, I have all this energy now. I want to like go outside, go like take a walk, go be barefoot in the grass, go be communing with nature, go connect with the earth. And my body just like naturally just like wanted to detox from not just food, but media, my phone, everything. I just like, as I began to cut cords of like dependency on like distraction, my body began to sync up with like what was aligned, what felt right. And I just wanted to share, as I was coming out of it, I began to like realize, like maybe a few hours before the 5-day um, fast was up, I was like, I felt a little dizzy. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna slowly break this fast. So I was a little more intentional about it this time, which was really great. It was really nice. And my experience was that I took some green powder. I had some water with some greens powder, which had like reishi and like a bunch of herbs, and it was just very like nourishing for my body. It was rehydrating for my body. Had electrolytes, minerals, etc. And I did that in the beginning of the afternoon, and then like towards the evening I drank some bone broth, just a little bit of bone broth, which is more hydrating, and I could feel my body begin to like, I could feel the energy shift in my body, where it was just like I felt like some more density come back into myself. So the next day, drank some more bone broth. Then I had some solid food like later on. And then what I didn't do, which was like continue to gradually like expose myself to more solid food. What I didn't do was that. Instead, I was like, okay, now I'm eating, and then I just ate. And like I ate and too much. My body has been okay, but what I have learned is that like I need to take it a little more easier on myself, and I need to continue, because this is like a reset, and what it's supposed to do is it's supposed to align you with further action that you're supposed to be taking. And so the real important thing is to continue to be listening, and not to like, okay, fast is over, back to the old, back to how I was doing things. So that's just kind of, and it hasn't been like that completely 100%. There's nuance to all of it. But the lesson that I learned is to continue to, really just be really intentional. And I'm going to link some like good fasting resources that I've come up with. Human Garage is one of them. Those guys, they did like a 40-day fast. And for 14 days, the guy who runs Human Garage was doing a dry fast. And people say that that's BS, and that's not true, but I believe him completely. Partially because of his body type. What happens when you dry fast is that your body begins to take fat cells and metabolize fat cells into water. And this guy is like, decent size. So like, yeah, that's reasonable. I could see him doing that. Um, the other people on his team weren't doing a dry fast for 14 days, but he's a bigger dude, so yeah, that feels plausible. And yeah, just they're talking about they're talking about that, and they're talking about microdosing mushrooms while they were on their water fast for 40 days, which was very interesting. And then the other resource is this Russian pastor who was talking about his own experiences with fasting, and how breaking his fast, like he had messed up in the past, and kind of like what I shared, like ate too much, or like went from one end of the spectrum to the other. And so, yeah, just good resources, good to check out. Great resets for your body. Gives your organs rest. Decreases inflammation. Helps your blood sugar. Helps your liver. Helps your digestion. Increases the microbiota in your digestive tract, lets you like repopulate the flora in there. It's great for your microbiome. It's so anti-inflammatory, reduces oxidative stress. You could go on. Autophagy is activated, ketosis is activated when you're long-term fasting. Your body will consume, like free radicals and cancer cells if you have that going on, like just great overall. So something to look into. And yeah, that's that. Hope you all are well. Take care. God bless you. Bye.